I wake up every single day. I am who I say I am. And I get what I get because I live in beast mode. Stop being gazelles. You're not average. You're not even good. You were born to be great.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Secret to Success podcast. I'm your host, CJ, joined by the Bayesian Sensation.
What it do?
And the hip-hop preacher. What's going on, y'all?
Oh, man, sleep is for suckers.
Oh, yeah, we up at the crack of dawn again. No sun yet, y'all.
Again, up at the crack of dawn. And, I'm getting used to doing it this early. Normally, when I wake up this early, I don't have, like, a task, and I don't have to talk. So I got to get up a little earlier and throw some coffee on my throat so that I don't sound like Mr. Ed when I'm on the mic. But we back, man, for another edition. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all locking in with us. Real quick, am I tripping, or man, is it tough to get ready to go especially out of the country and leave your family behind, bro? Like, we, for those of you listening, we've been talking about London for a while, and we actually fly out tonight. And so, man, I'll be real with y'all. Like, sometimes, you go on trips a day or two. Usually when we fly into a city, we fly in and out. And, it's a, cool process. You know what I mean? You're only gone for 24, 48 hours max. But, of course, sometimes, Australia, London, trips of that nature, I think we're gone for, 10, 11 days this time. Australia's a couple weeks. And, man, it's the weirdest thing, man. Like, I start doing anxiety, like, right before we get ready to leave. Like, yesterday, like, I don't know what it was, but I was just like, and I'm not even, like, a nervous person. I don't really even, get anxiety like that. But I was just, like, packing up my stuff and just feeling mad weird. And so, I don't know if it's just me, or do y'all feel that feeling too when it's time to roll out of town?
I don't know where he passed this stage. So I don't know. Yeah, he might not.
I'll
be
let
able to
Karl
get in.
answer that.
But I promise you, man. So what we try to do all the time, anytime I'm leaving or my wife and I are leaving the kids or my parents or whatever, like, we try to give, a couple of days in advance leading up to, hey, we're going to be gone this weekend, or we're going to be gone for a couple of days. So I've been doing that all week. Hey, Daddy going to be gone for a couple of days. Man, this is going to be a longer time than usual.
Right.
I promise, last night, bro, man, I'm going to just be real with y'all. He broke me down. So I'm putting little man to bed. We going through the routine. We reading. We do our little thing. We say the goodnight prayer, boy. And I'm like, hey, man, Daddy loves you, man. I'm going to be gone for a couple of days tomorrow. And I promise y'all, he just looked me in the face and was like, Daddy, I don't want you to go. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, not too bad. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, but you like the house we live in, you know what I'm saying? Like, the lights on, and I'm turning into the lamp. Like, all this stuff costs, and Daddy got to work so we can make sure we can pay all the bills and keep everything going smooth. I was like, you understand? He like, no. He's like, I don't, Daddy. All I'm trying to tell you is that he just kept saying, like, Daddy, I don't want you to go. Man, I'm telling y'all. I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you on my shoulder, and you can put your head on that side so you can't see me crying like a fool right now. I promise. Little man broke me, bro. I was broken. It's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah, no, it is. And you're a good one for telling him you're going to be gone for a while. Trey think I'm going to the store, and it's just going to be a long trip. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, Daddy got to roll to the store real quick. And but no, kids do have that sixth sense, though, because I promise you, like, one time I was going out the house. I don't remember where I was going. It might have been last year when I was going to Australia. But, like, I was leaving, and I had already took the suitcase out, right?
Yeah.
And I had put the suitcase in the truck. And so I had came back in, and he didn't even see me take the suitcase to the truck. Now, mind you, I could, like, he don't really never trip when I get ready to leave. Mind you, this time I'm leaving. He doesn't know the suitcase is already out there. And so I was like, all right, cool. I was like, hey, buddy, I'll be back. Daddy'll be back. I didn't say, like, how long I was going, anything. He just broke down, like, started having a fit. And I'm like, yo. Like, what? It was so weird, man. And I think it's different for me now because Trey is getting older. Like, he's 2.5 now. So, a little over 2.5. So he's, like, starting to really understand what's going on.
Yep.
But, the good thing for me, man, my folks are coming down. Anytime, I get ready to go out of town, I bring the reinforcement troops down, and, my parents just spoil them like crazy. So they'll be here today. We have no overlap, so I'm sure he probably won't even notice that I'm gone for about a week, and then it'll be time for us to come back. But yeah, no, man, I just, you know, it's different when they get older. You know what I mean? I think this is like the rough age because maybe when they're a little older, like they
Right.
understand,
Yep. Yep.
you know, and when they're younger, it's like, you know, whatever. So, you know, my son, man, he's growing and he's starting to, you know, he's smart, man. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
one of them things. Man, let me tell y'all something. Most hilarious thing, I promise y'all. We were, you know, for those of you who were in Charlotte, man, shout out to Charlotte. What an
Woo. Yeah.
insane
Charlotte
event
was
that was.
fire.
I mean, Charlotte was off the chain. E did some stuff I had never seen him do, and it was just tremendous. But we were in Charlotte, and why we wake up Sunday morning, you know, he woke up probably around like 6 o'clock, and he was yelling. Like Trey was in the bed, like we had 2 queen beds, and so me and Trey were in the bed together, and he woke up yelling. I'm sitting there, you know, on the laptop, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Daddy, Daddy. I'm like, what is wrong with this little boy? He sits up in the bed, looks at me, he's like, I need to go to the hospital. I was like, what? He's like, Daddy, I need to go to the hospital. I said, what happened? He said, I broke my ankle. I was like, Trey, how did you break your ankle,
In the
son?
sleep, boy.
Yeah, he was like, in my sleep, I broke my ankle. So I'm like, Trey, you didn't break your ankle in your sleep, bro. He's like, he's like yelling. So I like grab his foot, right? Like thinking he's joking. I grab his foot and he screams. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And he's like, my ankle, Daddy, I need to go to the hospital. So I'm like still thinking he's playing. So I like take him off the bed and set him next to the bed and like step a few steps back, like walk to me. And he takes 1 step and goes down. Boom. I'm like, yo, what? And so turns out his mom told me when she woke up that I guess he jumped off something the night before. And you know how you turn that ankle and it doesn't, lock up on you until later on in the night. And apparently that thing locked up on him when he woke up in the morning. He was in pain. But I was just dying laughing like, yo, when did my son get old enough to wake up talking about I need to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I got a kid now. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
real. Yeah, it's real.
So I don't know if the hip hop preacher got anything to add with his grown kids in college. I don't know if they're going to miss him like that. But
Well, I'll FaceTime him.
yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yep. So let's get into it today. I was on the podcast last week. I was excited. My Lions had 1-0. We were undefeated. I thought maybe there was a chance the culture was changing. Thought maybe there was a chance that we would bounce back, if you will, and show the world that cultures can be changed. And we talked a lot last week about changing the culture. And the famous saying that says "Lions gon' lion," and the Lions definitely went back to their old ways, man, and lost to the Tennessee Titans at home after racing out to a lead. Unbelievably, they were able to botch the game, lose the game, penalties. I'm like,
it was
they
close
had
to
like almost a record number.
It was
of
close to
penalties.
200 yards. Like it was almost 200 yards.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Almost 200 yards of penalties. And so it was funny because last week, of course, we were talking about culture and can you change the culture and all of these things. And I look at, and y'all know anytime I bring up sports, I'm trying to go somewhere. But I look at the fact that the Lions lost that game. And I look at the fact that the New England Patriots, without 2 All-Stars, Hall of Famers, Brady and Gronkowski, backup QB, backup tight end, are now 2-0 with Jimmy Garoppolo, who nobody even heard
Never
of
heard
until
of. Yep.
game 1. And my man comes out balling now. I think he might have got hurt. I'm not sure. I don't think it matters. They could probably put in me or Karl at QB and win. But I'm looking like, wow. Here's just the stark difference between, 2 programs and how you have a winning culture and a losing culture. And I want y'all to, if you're listening, I want you to understand something. The Patriots have all new players since they started this win streak of like 14 years with over 10 wins, a season. They're all new players. Like, it's not the same players. They're different players. Just like it's different players for the Lions. And one culture has constantly been losing and constantly been mired in mediocrity. And the other one just continues year after year to be fired. So, like, again, it just showed me that the systems that you have in place, the culture that you have in place is so important, more so even than the players or the people that you have coming through. So if your company is not winning, if you're not winning as an entrepreneur, you and your staff, whatever, you need to look at the culture and look at the environment and say, what is it about the culture that's allowing people to come in here and be losers? So I know we talked about it last week, but I just kind of wanted to come full circle and show you, an example of a winning tradition versus a losing tradition, and how, for real, the pieces don't necessarily matter so much as the culture and the organization as a whole.
I remember when we first started, we had, and again, you guys know how we started. Like, we literally just started on YouTube and just started building and, adding and keep going from there. But, I remember when we started to look into marketing and doing some other stuff. I talked about the UPS stuff last week, but I remember one of the guys that we met with, he said, man, it's going to be hard to work with you guys because I can see you guys do not have all the systems in place, but what you guys do have is success. And he's like, it's going to be so hard for me to work. And he was saying this like going into it, like it's going to be hard for me to work with you guys because you have success. Like you are finding a way to win. You're finding a way to make things happen. Like, even though y'all don't have the correct software for the mailing list and y'all don't have, he could go through the list of stuff that we didn't have. But he's like, it's going to be so tough because y'all already got a winning culture. Like, I have to now kind of like work backwards with you guys to kind of get what I need in place. And granted, of course, like she said, you add the right system to already a winning culture, like, it's bananas. And that's what we've experienced as a company. But I just remember that conversation we talked about it. See, like, he was like, it's going to be tough. Like, you guys are like, you are making money, like things are working for you. And I can see that y'all don't have all the stuff in place yet. So, I mean, for those of you listening, like, man, the biggest thing is having that winning culture. Like, you could go anywhere, like you put, like she said, it doesn't matter who's playing. It has, I'm talking about, it has, from what we see in 2-0, it has no bearing or whatever on who comes into play. It doesn't seem like it matters.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I don't think it matters whether you actually win or not. Or what, like I said, what's perceived to be a win. And you say, well, how can you have a winning culture without winning? I think it's more so the mentality. Like, I really do. Like, you're not going to win every game. You're going to have some losses. You're going to take some losses, especially as you try to build a culture, right? Like, if you're trying to build a culture, right? Like, so we work with, NFL teams and things that, may be, downtrodden, whatever. When you're on your way, okay, so let me say it like this. So I was talking to Adam, right? And Adam is one of my best friends, and he's one of the leading, individuals in addiction and recovery, right? And so I was talking to Adam, and I was asking him how you define success in addiction and recovery. And he said it's kind of tricky because you would think that, if somebody comes to, the program and they come out and they relapse, that was a failure, right? Like that's how I saw it. I'm not obviously not an addiction, specialist or, any of those things. But I said, if you have somebody who checks in, let's say they enroll in the program, they go through the entire program, and then they go back to using heroin, or they go back to, abusing drugs or alcohol or whatever those things are, 6 months after they leave the program, and I said, in my eyes, that looks like a failure, right? And he was saying that, no, it's not, because the tools that you learned in recovery will then help you to get past that even quicker the next time. So you're building yourself up. So yes, obviously the goal anytime, somebody comes through my program is for them to stay sober for the rest of their natural lives. He said that's the goal. But he was like, understand something, that if somebody comes through the program, that just because they relapse doesn't mean they didn't get all the skills and all the training and all the things that they need to get themselves built back up. And maybe there is a few failures, but what we're hoping is by, falling those few times, by continuing to come back and gain those skills, you build yourself up to 30%, 40%, 50%. Now, you're still not perfect at a 50%, but you're far better than you were at a 10%, 70%, 80%, until you can get yourself up to 100 and then, never relapse again. And so I think when you're building a culture, you have to be careful how you define winning and losing. And it's more so the mentality. Are you getting better? Is everything that you're doing helping you to increase from 10% to 20% to 30%, 40%? Like, so that's why I don't place a whole lot of stock in just wins, right? You have to be able to have that mentality that says, hey, if we can make progress, right? It might not be a win. Like I said to people would be, probably surprised to find out that I considered it a win when we would get calls from schools to ask us to come in, even though they wouldn't pay us any money. Why was that a win? Because before, we had to call schools and ask them if we could get in. We would say, hey, we got this program. It's great. You guys need to check it out. Can we come in? Can we do it for your students? We'll do it for free. Doesn't matter. Come on, boom, boom, boom. And we met resistance with that. And then finally people start letting us come in, right? But then it was a whole nother level when schools start calling saying, hey, we heard about what you guys are doing. Can you come do that in our school? That was a win for us. Now, there was no money involved, right? And to the outside world, if you're doing work and not getting paid, that's probably a loss. But the mentality for us was, if we can keep progressing every single day, we can change the culture and eventually become what the outside world would see as a winning culture, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I tell people all the time, I won before I won. I won before I won. Before you found out I was Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, I was E.T. the hip hop preacher. At Oakwood, I was E.T. the hip hop preacher. At the Advantage, I was E.T. the hip hop preacher. Whatever venue I was given the opportunity, but I knew in my heart, and I knew in my mind that I was a champion. I knew in my heart and my mind that I was a champion. So I wasn't really concerned about, what other people was thinking. Like I tell people all the time, I didn't wake up to be number one, but I woke up in practice as if I was number one. So I never had a dream of being, the number one speaker in the world. That was never a dream for me. But I did wake up and have a work ethic. I wanted to have the number one work ethic in the world. And by having the number one work ethic in the world, that's going to yield something. I can't tell you for certain what number that's going to put me at. But I do know if I wake up and grind and work hard. So I think it's in the heart first. I think it's in the mind second. And then eventually it'll get to the hand. And when I say the hand, I just mean your behavior. And I think a lot of people, when they want to change the culture, are starting with their behavior. And to me, that's the last place to start. Because what happens, and I'm just going to say this, guys, because I want to make it clear. I was on the phone the other day, and, Mason West brought out some stuff that I had been, preaching. And it was a situation, where there are guys that might see me, ironing clothes and like, yo, my marriage is tore up from the floor up and I want to get a better marriage. So I'm a cook. E.T. said he cooking for his wife. E.T. said he ironing clothes. E.T. said and what happens, is the reason they can't change the culture is because they pick up the behavior that I have, but not the mindset that I have. So yeah, you're ironing your clothes, but you still don't see your wife the way you should see her. You're cooking dinner, but you still don't see her as the queen that she is. You still don't value her in the way you should value her. So while your behavior might change, some of your actions may change. You can't build a culture on behavior. You can't build a culture on action. You can only build a culture on a philosophy, on a mentality. And so when the mentality is right and the philosophy is right, then the actions are going to automatically be right. So you don't have to start focusing on, I want to change my actions. I got to get up early. I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, do what? What are you getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for? You might not need to get up to 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want E.T.'s behavior. What you want is E.T.'s mentality. And I discovered a long time ago when I look at the winning cultures that they have a different mentality than everybody else. They don't accept certain things. They don't do certain things because in their mentals, they don't see how it's going to create a repeated pattern that's going to get them to the place that they need to get to. So again, we're not suggesting that you do or you don't change behavior, but we're saying if you change your behavior, do not expect outcomes if you're not changing your thinking about that thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think people are probably listening, saying, well, how do I do that, and what was that thing, and I'm just speaking for myself, and I kind of alluded to it already, but it doesn't happen overnight. It's not just one of those things where you can go from you constantly been losing, and this is losing not even business, life, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something to be said for what E taught us, Karl, and that was like, I just alluded to it, but it's the small wins, right? It is literally like, how can we make a little bit of progress each day? Like, I tell people all the time, people say, oh, you going on tour and Australia again, like how does that feel? You did a world tour, you did this, you did that. And I said, it doesn't really feel that crazy, because before we were touring in Australia, they were buying our books in Australia. And before they were buying our books in Australia, we seen comments in the YouTube comments from people watching the videos in Australia. And before they were watching them in Australia, they were watching them in the States, all the way back down to Michigan State University. Like, we reverse engineered it. So I think, like, we never had that big, like, boom, like we were, just chilling at our jobs in the basement somewhere, and Oprah just hit us up like, come on through. And I think that's the mentality that some of you are looking at. Like, you're waiting for that big boom. Like, you waiting for that lottery ticket to come. The lottery ticket is not going to come. You're going to have to grind your way to 100 million. Like, it's just not going to come. Like, you think you're sitting on this opportunity that's just going to blow up randomly. And I'm saying you're going to have to hustle that thing. You're going to have to grind that thing. If you got an app that you're working on, if you have a design patent, whatever it is, like, you are going to have to hustle that thing. And it's going to happen in stages for you. And I think that's how you truly change the culture. Like, it wasn't some big one-time, windfall investment that we had come through the company. Like, somebody like, oh, here go $50 million for y'all to get started. It was literally brick by brick. I have saw my check. I should probably go pull up my check stubs if I didn't want everybody in my business. But I could probably pull up my check stubs from the first day we start getting paid to now. And I bet you would see the smallest, most, diligent incremental increases in my check from day one. At no point did I go from like, okay, I'm making 1,000 to making 5,000 to making 10,000, 20,000. It never went like that. It was literally like, okay, I made $100 more this week than I made the week before. Okay, I made $200. You know what I mean? Like, it was never this big, huge lick. And I think the thing that E got us to do was see, if you're going to change the culture, we're going to have to do this a little bit at a time, and you're going to have to see the value in small wins.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to redefine success. You're going to have to redefine success. And success can no longer be what everybody else defines as success. So the GED was a success for me. Yep, it did take 12 years to get a 4-year degree, but that's success. And so we have to redefine what success is. And so C just said, like, yo, E said, whatever, but how does that happen? Like, okay, I heard you, E. It ain't the behavior, it's the mind. Here's, let me just give you a couple things that you need to do. First of all, be courageous enough, be brave enough to define and see success from your world. I'm going to say it again. I'm saying it slow because I want to make sure you guys are getting what I'm saying. Be courageous enough, brave enough to define and accept success in your world. And what I mean by that is, bruh, I see people all the time in Bentleys, Rolls Royces. And let me just say this, and I say this with all humility, I can afford, certain vehicles, but I just don't see that as success. Now, see, am I saying that that's not success because my man got a Rolls Royce, because she got a Maybach, the Bugatti? I'm not saying that's not success. That's success in your world. But what I'm not going to do, see, is I'm not going to say, in order for me to be successful, I have to have what they have. Success for me, see, could be my Suburban. You know what I'm saying? It could be my Suburban. It could be my Toyota Camry. Because the way I see success is this particular vehicle, but I have money to go on vacations. I have money to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I might define success as me and my family, Didi going to England with me, Didi being able to go to, Australia with me. Like, we're going as a family. Like, my kids are in college. My son's going to take care of his sister. That's what I see as success. Like, I see that as very successful. Family and having a very healthy, we're not perfect, but a very healthy, family with our own little weekly traditions and our little goals and our little getting together and praying and going to church for prayer meeting. Like, that's what I see as success. So I just want to say, first of all, just be very cautious of saying, I want to live in a gated community because somebody else said that was success. Or I want to wear, tailored suits and, Italian suits, right? And, designer shoes. Like, okay, that's success for them. But don't let their success become your success. And then once you identify in your world what success is, like, study the people in your realm who you feel are successful. If they write books, go with the books. If they do documentaries, watch the documentaries. If they speak, listen to them speak. If they do poetry, read their poetry. If they have a podcast, listen to their podcast. Like, whatever. If they have a daily devote, whatever the people that you look up to and you like, I want to model after them. Like, I don't want to be them, but I do want to model after them. Then start looking at the characteristics. Like, what characteristics do they have? You know what I'm saying? What are some of the things that they do? What are some of the things that they believe in? And as you're reading this, you're not trying to become their clone, but you are identifying for yourself, like, this is the philosophy I need to have. Listen to me. The philosophy that I need to have. So for me, listen to Pastor Doggett speak and the way he talked about my wife, I was like, for real, like, I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? I was homeless, and Dee Dee, snuck me into, one of the abandoned buildings and snuck me into the house, on a Sunday when I couldn't get into my job. And then she gave me her allowance. Like, it was like, just because homeboy is doing this with his wife, and there's no disrespect. My man might have got married at 29. He had a life before he had a wife. I didn't have a life before I had a wife. Like, Dee Dee and I hooked up at 16 years old. So the way I spoil her and what I do for her has everything to do with the fact that I was homeless and a high school dropout. I was at a very critical point in my life, and she came in and whatever. That's not everybody's story, see? Some dudes had their degrees and had their life before they found their girl. That's not my reality. So I can't say, well, I'm going to do what this person does and this person does. I gotta do what ET has to do and define what do I need to do in my marriage? How do I need to treat my wife? What's important in my relationship? And so those are just a couple of the tangible things I want to say that people can do to change their thinking. See, study your favorite football team that won 3 championships. Study your favorite player who won 6 championships. You know what I'm saying? Just study, write it down. Don't clone them. But start identifying your own, like, ooh, I like that. I believe this is important. Ooh, I like to do that. And then as you do that, write that down and then look at that every day and just wake up and do a little something toward that. And then you're going to wake up one day and go from a high school dropout to saying, I do value school.
Small win. See, I was going, well, first of all, he went back to marriage podcast, so I'll just take this little pause and let y'all know the marriage podcast, we recorded the first one and it was bananas. Let me just let y'all know that. Bananas. I was sitting there taking notes in the doggone session. But anyway, sidebar, but I want to go somewhere. I mean, same thing, small wins. I remember walking to the gym. You guys know I started working out with Ken just a little bit. Ken is on something different. I'm just trying to stay healthy. But I remember just kind of reading a little bit and just realizing there are different body types. So hear what I'm saying. There are different body types. Yep. So I can't turn my body.
What type does E have?
The chunky wasn't listed as a body type. But
short and stocky.
So I remember just looking at it, and I remember thinking to myself, there is no good way for me to get to from where I am to 2%. There's no healthy, quick way. Hear what I'm saying carefully. There's no healthy, quick, long-standing way for me to go from where I am to 2% body fat. It has to come with small wins. And a part of the process, that I wanted to talk about was that process of what I'll say, the term is stasis, where it don't look like nothing is growing. But you can't stop. You keep doing the activities long enough, and there's going to come a period where you just, like you said, see, it was like, for real, it was this amount, And then like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize what happened, but I'm up $150 more. Like, whoa, I didn't even really peep that. But then there'll be a period of where nothing changes again. And they, like Ken is always complaining like, man, I swear I was lifting more than this last week, but I can't get past this. Like I'm stuck at this weight. And I'm like, we just keep going. And I promise you in another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're going to be able to add another 5 pounds. You're going to be able to add another 10 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So I always think like, you honestly, the only way you can sustain it is by the brick by brick small wins. Because Oprah Winfrey, let me just say it like this. There's no way Oprah could have gotten on her show the first day. Like, all right, I'm going to just give you a shot, Oprah. Y'all heard Les Brown's story. Like, there's no way I'm going to give you a shot and you haven't been having small wins and you keep it going for a long time. Like, hear what I'm saying? There's no way you get the big opportunity, you hit the lottery. There's no way you're going to sustain it if you haven't been building it. There's no possible way. So if you've been trying that route, I'm letting y'all know now, it's only going to last for so long. It's not sustainable. The only way to sustain this thing forever for the rest of your life, you're talking about for generations, is the brick by brick, the $50 this month, the extra 2.5 pounds. I didn't even know they had 2.5 pound weights, y'all. They had 2.5 pound weights, but there's a reason for that. So you could just increase a bit by bit. They ain't just dropping, like you don't go from 145 plate just to, add in another set of 45 plates onto, you see what I'm saying? They're increments for a reason. You go, the 2.5, I blew my mind, 2.5, 5, 10, 25, 35, 45. That's how the weights are broken down.
Yeah, yep. No, you're right. And I'm thinking about what you're saying with the, the weight training, and I'm thinking about what E said even in terms of the weight loss. Like when you talk about, Karl, when people drop weight real quick, right? You see it happen all the time. People go on these crash diets, like, right? You do this crash diet and you lose a ton of weight like instantly, but you're not able to sustain it because, like E said, you've changed your behavior, but the culture never changed. You don't believe in eating healthy. You don't believe in working out every day. It was something that you did because you had to get into a new dress, or you had to get into a new tux, or you was going to a class reunion or something like that, and you put the weight right back on because it wasn't a culture change, it was a behavioral change. And the behavioral change only lasts so long, right? We saw the Lions week 1. They came through with a behavioral change. They did some things that, at that last drive, that was a behavior change. They didn't choke. They got it done, boom. But it wasn't a culture change. Why? Because we saw this week, they reverted right back, regressed to the mean, right? It is what it is. They came right back to where they normally are because it was a behavior change and not a culture change. And I think those small wins is when you end up changing the culture. You say, you know what? I believe in eating right. I believe in exercising. And I go to the gym, 3 times a week. And I do that over the course of a year. 2 years, 3 years. Now it becomes embedded and ingrained in who you are. Not, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm only eating salad, I'm drinking juices, and I'm going to the gym, 7 days a week. You 9 times out of 10, you are not going to sustain that as a culture shift. It is a behavior, but you have not bought into the mentality of what it takes to be a healthy individual.
What's crazy is I'm just thinking, as you guys are talking and I'm learning. I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, E, let's reverse engineer this even a little more. And so I'm saying, now you have to go back, see, and really break down what do you value, what don't you value, why do you value it, why don't you value it. So as you both were talking, I remember being kicked out of college on academic probation. And listen to me, I clearly remember, Karl, when I got kicked out, the next semester going to community college like nothing had happened. Like I enrolled in community college like the university had a problem, not me. Like how in the world could they kick me out on academic probation? And I promise you, see, I was pumped up. I was going to prove to the world that there was no way I should have been on academic probation. And I went to class, I will never forget, Western Civ. I went to that Western Civ class pumped up like, I'm going to prove to the world that I should have never gotten kicked out, that they were wrong. I went to Western Civ an entire week, every day, see? Every day, had my book, see? Did all my schoolwork. The next week, I went 3 out of 5 times, see? You know what I'm saying? Like 3 out of 5. And the week after that, 1. And I promise you, by the 4th week, see, it was so beautiful, the weather, all the stuff that was going on, see, that I stopped going to class. And it was weird because even though I got kicked out, I'm talking to somebody. I don't know who you are. The first time I got kicked out, see, I was oblivious to what had happened. Why did they do this to me? They had no right. I'm all the way here in Alabama. You know, I don't have no family here. This is why I came here, and they kicked me out. And I'm gonna go to this community college, and I took the same behavior with me. See, I took that same behavior, and this time when I failed at the community college level, I said to myself, "Yo, E, just be real with yourself. You don't value education. You don't see the importance of it. And between you and you, go look at yourself in the mirror. You only came here because of Dee Dee. You only came to college because Dee Dee told you that if you didn't go to college, she was going to break up with you. So let's be honest, Eric. You reached your academic goal. You just needed to get accepted. That's the only thing that needed to happen. You just needed to get accepted so you could get there, so you could be with her. So I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm not saying you can't get a degree. But what I am saying is that you're lying to yourself. You hate school. There's nothing about school you value, so you'll never be able to do well in it until you value it. And the day I realized, see, that as a speaker who was speaking in schools, the doors was going to be shut on me, and that not having a degree would limit my finances, limit my opportunities, is the day I said, you know what, E.T., you need to value it. And when I began to value school, the relationship with school changed, and eventually the results of school changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yeah, guys, you know, we talked about this 2 weeks in a row now, and I hope you understand the importance, because when E and I got off the phone last week, I think E called me and was like, man, I got some more to say about this culture thing. And I just think it's so important, you know, to develop that momentum, right? The momentum is on our side. The chances of us quitting reduce significantly. So what we're talking about, guys, is a culture shift, and we'll continue to talk about some of that stuff as we, you know, go along. We'll revisit the topic, I'm sure, but we wanted to make sure that you fully understood what we were talking about last week as it relates to the culture. I cannot remember the last time we lost, you know, as a company, right? Like, I cannot remember. Can y'all remember? Like, just seriously, off the top of your head.
A long time.
I promise, I got nothing. I'm saying nothing that, you know, is like that, like, oh my gosh, devastated. No, I got nothing at all.
Right. I'm just saying, based on how we see things, like, there's been some things that didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? But like, I literally think that we have gone 16-0, you know, a couple seasons in a row now, like, for real. Like, I can remember some losses early, you know, with maybe, you know, more, personnel type things. But in terms of the company itself, I cannot remember.
You can't do it. Now, look, I also wanted to say this last week, see, but I told you I was going to wait, because I was like, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, right? I do not want to put my foot in my mouth. But when I say culture, just so you guys are 100% clear on what we're talking about, the New England Patriots, right? The New England Patriots. I just want to make sure that we are 100% clear that Bledsoe left, and then all of a sudden this kid who was picked up in the 6th round came in. We don't really know who he was.
199th
pick. This dude came in, Tom Brady, and I mean, he came in the system and dominated. And let's be honest, we started to think for a minute, Belichick, you know what I'm saying, and Brady. Now Brady out. Gronkowski is out. What's this other dude name that's out? Somebody else significant. I'm not a Patriots fan, but they got another guy that's out. And they're still winning. They're still winning, guys. Said 2-0. With this system is this is a phenomenal system. And I love it. They were asking Coach about somebody that got injured, and Coach said, I get guys prepared for football. I'm not the doctor. Let the doctors do what the doctors do. I get people prepared for football. And once the doctors clear them to play, it's my job to get them prepared to play. So I'm just saying, guys, I just want to show you that when we get to a place where it's cultural, when we get to a place where it happens, you know, instinctively, it happens spontaneously, it happens organically, it happens naturally, you know, that, you do some things over the years that where you identify what the culture is, where there's a language that you guys speak, there's a certain ethos, there are certain behaviors, but once that behavior or once that culture is set, it's kind of running on its own. And that's why we're telling you there's levels to this. That's why we're telling you don't skip steps. That's why we're telling you don't take shortcuts. Because while it takes a long time to establish the culture, once it is established, it will do the work on its own, New England Patriots. It will do the work on its own. So we just want to encourage you guys, like, we're not talking to hear ourselves talk, but the reason why CJ said, when was the last time we lost? Is because the three of us created a culture. We abide by that culture because that culture has to be preserved. And we make sure on a daily basis, not only are we aware of the culture, we honor and respect our culture. We honor and respect it. We revere our culture. And as a result, there are certain things we do, we don't do. And now all we do is win no matter what.
Hey, let me just say real quick for all my CEOs, business owners, whatever. Tony Knuckles, our guy from Quicken Loans, I remember him asking this question at a session somewhere, and he asked, like, what is your culture? Like, define your culture. Like, what is it? And there were a couple people that were kind of like hesitant. And he was like, well, let me just tell you, in a world of trouble right now, because if you can't define your culture, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There is a culture whether you plan for it or not. So you might want to be strategic and plan your culture because that's what's going to determine how successful you are. He was like, if you don't have a culture, if you can't articulate what it is, don't think that it doesn't exist. There is a culture there. Trust me, there's a culture there. You brought it with you as the CEO. You brought it in your personality. You brought it in your core values. So if it's not something that you really want your company to embody, then you might need to kind of think about how you need to strategically shift that and address it. But there is, understand me closely, hear what I'm saying closely, there is a culture there.
Whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Wow, unbelievable. All right, cool. Let's move, guys. We got stuff to do. Let's jump into. Y'all want to go one gotta go or ask ET? I always give y'all the option of which one you want to do first.
We missed one gotta go last week, so let's throw it in there.
All right, cool. Let's go. One Gotta Go is brought to you by breatheuniversity.com. I wanted to read you guys a brief testimonial from breatheuniversity.com. Somebody sent us, I'm not sure who it was, but Karl sent it over to me and I wanted to read it to you guys. It said, I wanted to drop you a quick line and christen my entry into Breathe University by saying thank you to every single person on your staff who's made Breathe You a reality. I've been navigating the site for a few days now since joining, and I'm blown away by the interface and all the content that I will get as a Survive member. I was in tears scrolling, thinking about how generous it is of you all to offer this rich material to people like myself who want to take their business and their business lives and personal lives to the next level, but can't currently pour a lot of money into personal development. I've done research in the past, and let me emphatically say that there are no motivational speakers or professional development people out there making this kind of content so ridiculously affordable. I've been listening to ET on YouTube and on the podcast now for the last 3 years, and I thought I was getting a treat, but what's going on with the website is on another level that I could not have imagined. I'm so grateful for ET, CJ, and Karl. Each and every time they mention joining Breathe You to the listeners on the podcast, she said, today I told myself that I'm not going to listen to one more podcast without joining Breathe You, and that's what she did. She also said she's going to call her brother and her broker and let them know that they need to get on Breathe You immediately. So she said, hugs for every last one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, guys, be you. We're going to a whole nother level. Karl just, briefly mentioned the Thank God I'm Married podcast. The marriage section is heating up and will be in full effect here shortly. So again, join us at breatheuniversity.com. We got a ton of stuff in the way of professional development. Josh taking over the business and sales training in that wing, and we're just adding a bunch of stuff. So we would love to see you over there at breatheuniversity.com. Now let's jump into, let me pull out my notes. I don't really have notes, but I do for the one gotta go. I got a couple notes. So one gotta go this week. Man, all right, cool. This first young lady has sold over 100 million records. She's ranked as one of the best-selling artists in the history of contemporary music. She's amassed an extensive catalog with singles such as Nasty, Rhythm Nation, That's the Way Love Goes,
You already got E in trouble.
and All For You. The next young lady that I want to talk about has sold an estimated 170 to 200 million records worldwide. She's released 7 studio albums and 2 soundtracks with the hot singles How Will I Know, I Will Always Love You, Greatest Love of All, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Dance with somebody. With somebody.
The next young lady that I want to highlight is also one of the top artists to ever live, considered to have one of the best voices to ever lived, with singles such as One Sweet Day, Fantasy, Always Be My Baby, and my favorite Christmas song that rolls along, All I Want for Christmas. Sometimes when you're in Macy's and you hear All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey right around December 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, it just does something to your soul when you hear that song. So today, unfortunately, one of these careers have to go. And I ask you, fine gentlemen, which one has to go?
Let me say this. First
Janet
of all,
Jackson,
let me tell you
Mariah
something.
Carey, or Whitney Houston?
Let me tell you something. First of all, Penny can't go nowhere. That's number one. Penny can't go nowhere.
No. Wait. Why is okay? So for who is Penny for our listeners? Everybody not in their 40s and from the States. So who is Penny?
They can't let Penny go now. Mama burned
I know Glenn knows who
her
we
mama
talking
tried
about.
to burn her
Glenn in
out.
Australia.
Her mama
Who
tried to
knows
burn her
every
out.
black show known to man.
So Penny, of course, is the role Janet Jackson played in Good Times. So we fell in love with, her in Good Times. You know what I'm saying? And Good Times is before there was the Huxtables, the Cosby Show, a pivotal show in the American history, was Good Times. And so Janet came on the scene. So I'm just saying, see, you would interrupt a lot of history. Like it's not just a little small record time
Matrix
frame.
be
This
hard
would be
with
like
that.
Back to the Future, where you went back and disrupted, quite a few things. And let's not forget Poetic Justice, So
And Nutty Professor.
yeah. So we might can forget the Nutty Professor. And we might be able to let that go. So
Poetic
for me,
Justice, yeah.
Janet for sure can't go nowhere because of that. Let's also be honest. There was a time, and this is I'm of course telling my age, but this was a time in every graduation across the country, every pivotal youth program. It was an anthem, if you will. Whitney's song was an anthem for us.
Which one? I Will Always Love You? Which one are you talking about?
No, not I Will Always Love You. The greatest love.
Oh, Greatest Love of All. Not to mention Greatest Love of All also produced the Eddie Murphy version from Coming to America.
You feel me? So
you know what I'm saying?
I would have to
Mr. Randy
say,
Watson.
I would have to say, and I do not mean to be disrespectful, but I would have to say that Mariah Carey has got to go as it relates to the history of music. So I gotta stick with Whitney. I gotta stick with Janet Jackson, and Mariah Carey. She gotta go.
I can't. I honestly, I can't touch Whitney. Whitney's the golden goose for me in that category. Whitney, I'm talking about. I still cry. Like I heard a song. I think it was I Believe the Children Are Our Future. That one. And I just brought, man, I was sitting there.
No, that's it, Karl. That's the anthem right there, I meant.
But I'm telling y'all, I hear that song, and man, that song about her voice. It's other singers with beautiful voices, but and when I go there, I'm saying Mariah got a phenomenal voice, but it's just something about that legacy and even though the last part of Whitney's messed up, the beginning. Oh, are you playing it for me?
Just keep talking. Keep talking.
Hey, I'm serious. That joint right there, you hear it like it go to your soul, man.
No, it was the anthem. It was the anthem back in the day. Every graduation, any youth do anything, you win an award, they singing that song to you, right? Your grandma is playing that song for you.
Sure. So I'm saying you listen to her voice, man, it do something to you. Like you feel that joint. Like Janet,
That's it.
like E said, Janet is in the culture. Like I don't know if I could touch her. Mariah, I'm sorry, you got to go. And it hurt. Cause Mariah is a beast, don't get me wrong. Like it's some notes that she hit that I didn't even know was on the musical scale. She can hit them joints so high. But like you talk about changing lives and legacy, man. I'm sorry, Mariah, but I gotta tell you.
And then see, let's not forget some of Michael Jackson hits are gonna be wiped away if
no
we get rid of
doubt.
Janet. We got a couple of Michael Jackson songs with his sister, you know. So yeah, Mariah gotta go. Yeah, you gotta
Don't
go,
even
Mariah.
stop the song, see. Don't even stop it. I'm feeling it.
Oh yeah, just play. Yeah, just play it in the
Let's just
background.
reflect.
Yeah, just play it in the background.
Man.
Hey, but yo, I'm stupid, but I promise you, this song has slightly been scarred for me because of the coming to America commercial.
You can't take away my dignity because the great S. Love of all.
Because every time I hear it, all I hear is, because the great ass, love of all. Oh, man, but you know what? I will say this. No, I got a soft spot for this song, too.
Y'all got too
because
many.
this
That's
is
y'all
my-
young. I've been to too many graduations. I promise you, for a 10-year span, a decade, they played this every
I'm talking
graduation.
a week ago I heard it. I
every-
put on a station, I heard that joint, and I still felt it like it was new.
Yo, I will say I have a soft spot in my heart for this song because my dad, like when I was young, and my dad to this day, well, like if you ask him, what's your favorite song ever, you know, in the history of music, my dad will say Greatest Love of All. So I definitely got love for Whitney. I'm like, man, and I kind of agree with y'all. Mariah, you know, she got to go. But I'm like, shoot, like, do you know that Christmas song? Like, imagine never hearing that for the rest of Christmas. Like, yo, that's tough. Like, that's something that we hear
I'm
every
good, though. I-
single
the little-
year.
the
For
little
like a
drummer boy is
month.
mine.
That's a part of
I'm
my
good.
month.
So what I say though, see, and here's the good thing with that though, it's only about 7 Christmas songs and all the artists do them. So you're going to hear the song, you're just not going to hear her
Oh,
verse.
yeah,
of
but
it.
it's nothing
So
like
we gonna
her
be all
version.
right.
There's nothing
Yeah,
like
no,
her
I'm saying
version.
Right,
I
but I'm
promise
saying
y'all.
we got enough to cover. We got fruitcake. We got fruitcake. We can go ahead and eat that and
Oh,
cover
come
that
on,
up.
y'all.
We'll be
Come
all
on now, y'all know good and well that joint right there. If you hear it right around Christmas time, I promise you that thing gonna have you in the mood. You're gonna be shopping,
Oh,
buying gifts, the
absolutely.
whole
But you
nine.
gotta wait till December 24th. Yeah, Janet is all year long. Janet is all year long.
You stupid.
Hey, it's early.
You're
I'm-
stupid, see.
if you hear that,
September though, see?
I'm
September.
getting everybody in the spirit. It's the fall coming up.
September.
All right, we got work to do. I'm being stupid. All right, let's go back. All right, so Mariah and All I Want for Christmas, unfortunately. She had a bunch of hits, though. We Belong Together. Like, come on, man. What was the One Sweet Day with Boys to Men?
One Sweet Day is a fire
Oh,
one too. Yeah,
man,
no, I
like,
got
y'all
you.
tripping, man. So, but Mariah, it was nice knowing you. But
I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Hold 'em on,
I could use that now,
Hey,
run for a
Moses.
campaign
Oh,
to
no
be the
doubt.
president of the United States of America
Give them
and
a
use
stick.
that song and get in, bro.
Pride. All right. Let's move on. We're gonna go into Ask ET. Shoot, I lost my questions now, fooling with y'all. I got hold on. Oh man. Yeah. Hey, come Christmas time, I will not be able to listen to that. And I'm already hurt. So I just wanted to get it out of my system before.
Let's make sure for all my younger folk in here, make sure you go on Google or YouTube and just put Penny. And just put Penny. And,
Oh, you know what,
and
though?
Just give
Hey,
me a couple
let me tell you
episodes
something.
of the young
Whitney
Janet
Houston
Jackson.
you right, Mariah got to go. Because I think what was her movie? Sparkle? I don't know if that ever did anything. But let me tell you
yeah,
something.
no,
The
yeah.
Bodyguard was a classic.
The Bodyguard, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I wanted to be Kevin Costner. Yeah, I just wanted to rescue Whitney, take her up out of there. You know what I'm saying?
You feel me? Just take her out of there.
For sure. All right, cool. So let's jump into Ask ET. Let's see. Let's find a good one here. Ricky in Memphis said, ET, you've been doing TGIM for 8 years. You guys constantly put out videos, audio, mixtapes, albums. Where does ET continue to get all his content?
What does that mean? Like a vote or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I guess. I mean, he's been doing a ton of videos. He's saying, you know, how do you keep producing at a high level? You didn't run out of stuff to talk about yet.
oh man, I'm a lifelong learner, man. You know, it's just, man, you can learn something every day, man, from people, from, you know, books, from certain circumstance situations. Yeah, life. Yeah, man, you keep learning. So I'm learning every day. Like, it's not a situation where, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've stopped learning. So I watched the Olympics. I learned something from the Olympics. I'm married. I've been on college campus with these kids, learning stuff from them, hanging around C and Karl. I still pick up stuff. So, yeah, I'm constantly learning, man. And I regurgitate the stuff that I'm learning daily.
Hey, we talked about that one before, but honestly, he has a very, very unique gift, y'all, of literally wake up today and in the first, you know, a couple of minutes of just whatever, his toothpaste fell on the floor, he gonna find something out of that. Like, he's just looking. I mean, see, that's his whole, you know, attitude toward life, looking for stuff, you know, to learn from.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna be for real. It was the first
up,
time he did a Usain Bolt message in Charlotte that I'd never heard before.
Blew
like
my
I
mind.
never heard.
Never heard
and it was probably the hottest, one
never
of the hottest
heard
messages he done all tour.
Yep.
And I never heard it. I seen it
Yep.
come up on the screen, and it's always funny. Like when I see E with a new slide or something, and I, you know, Karl does the slide, so I don't get to see him, and I see him, and I look up there, and I'm trying to say, okay, where is he about to take this?
Where is he
and
going?
Man, and you know what? Matter of fact, and I'm trying to tell y'all, shameless plug. I believe that entire keynote from Charlotte is up on breatheuniversity.com right now, right?
Right in Breathe University. We did the conference Saturday. It was up on
so
Monday.
Our,
it was
our
too
Breathe
far not to
University
have in
Let me
there.
tell you something. Doggone it, if you don't pay $19.99 for that and just, I don't care if you get out, that was one of the hottest keynotes of the conference.
The whole year,
and it's
literally.
up in its entirety on breatheuniversity.com. I want to throw, I do want to do a snippet of that though and put it on YouTube. I want to put, you know, at least 5 minutes because they need to see that Usain Bolt message.
Well, I want to put the piece up, and again, guys, this is just, you know, I'm venting. You know, I'm not always on a soapbox. I'm not always venting, but I'm venting as a CEO. You know, as an entrepreneur, because when we talked about cultures earlier, you know, everybody want to make shift company. Like everybody want to be an entrepreneur, you know, and it seemed like it's the easiest thing to do. I'm not going to get no job. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And you have so many young people, you know, who want to do it. And I've had parents come to me, you know, who I guess they want their children, you know, to skip all these steps and, you know, just get to the top. And so, Karl, if you could just play just a minute of that, guys, like, and I'm being real, I'm venting, right? But I think it's important for you to hear this, because all we've been talking about is building a culture. Karl used the term brick by brick by brick. And there are people who think they just gonna build a house in one day, or they're gonna let you build a house in one day and they just gonna come and get all the benefits. So see, I know we usually this is exclusive for BU, this BU content, but Karl, if we could just play that part where I am venting on my soapbox, I would appreciate if y'all guys let me do that just real quick.
Got it.
I don't want to tell on my podcast, but the next one I told see coming up, somebody, you know, work for me, their mama called, do you have 501? Do they have a 501? And do they have a 401k? Do you guys have health insurance and other benefits? I'm like, what? I swear your son don't work hard enough to have health insurance. I swear he don't work hard enough to have no benefit. 401k. So this is what I'm gonna start telling parents that call me. Look, mama, if you think he need a 401k, if you think that he need to get paid more, if you think he need health insurance, get a job and hire his behind and give him all the 401 you want to. You hire him. He can sleep as long as he want to. He can wake up when you want him to wake up, and you ain't gotta put too much pressure on your baby. You hire him. You think he need a 401k? You think he that deep? You create your own job and you hire him. You think he need benefits? He need to be covered? Then you create your own job and you hire your son. Then we can guarantee he gonna get paid. You ain't got to worry about me paying him. But what you want is you want me to get up at 3 o'clock and grind. You want me to travel all over the world. You want me to sacrifice my wife and my son and my daughter. You want me to make all the sacrifices, and I still got to pay him while he get to do what he want to do when he want to do it. It don't work like that. So create a job and hire him. And I bet you fire his butt in 6 weeks.
Woo! All right, there it is. I told y'all, man, Charlotte was off the chain. Listen, if you want to see that whole keynote, go to breatheuniversity.com right now and check that out, man. We got the whole keynote up there for all the members in our community, and that thing was crazy. So I don't even think that we need to go to the nugget of the day. I think that more than serves.
No, I think that was the nugget of the day, see? I think that was the nugget. Like, for real, if you can't take nothing from that right there,
you don't need the nugget.
You don't have a pulse, bro. That's the nugget of the day.
You do not need the nugget of the day. So, nah, man, I appreciate everybody listening.
Dallas, see? Dallas, see?
Yeah, Dallas, October 15th, I believe, right?
Yep, October 15th.
October 15th.
Is that the 15th?
We will be in Dallas, ready to rock and roll. For those of you Texas, come on out. October 15th, go to etinspires.com/events and check out the tickets for that. And then,
hey, yeah, and don't forget too. See, I know, you know, a lot of people might have thought it was just last week, but every Friday we drop in the new "Thank God I'm Married." Like Karl said, the "Thank God I'm Married" podcast is coming out. The "Thank God I'm Married" conference. The first one is in San Diego on right there around Valentine's Day. You know, so we got a couple more coming after that. So guys, be ready. Be ready. Thank God I'm married. We're coming out with the BU marriage section as well. So we are definitely dedicated and committed to helping families, guys. So we always talk about the triple double, but as we get ready for 2017, we're going to physically, right, emotionally, you know, mentally, all the leads. We're going to help you with your family this year coming up, you know, and help you to reach that triple double.
That's it, man. Let's get the triple double. Y'all go leave us that review on iTunes. We appreciate everything y'all done. I see you in a couple hours at the airport in New York.
Yes, sir.
We get on that bird and fly over to London. London, we'll see y'all tomorrow. We will be in the building all over the place. We going all over London. So if you see us, show us some love, man. Take us to Nando's so we can get that peri-peri chicken.
Oh, peri-peri.
And next week, guys, we'll bring you a special edition of the podcast. We're not going to miss. You know we still working while we over there. We'll bring you a special edition. Hopefully, we'll get it videotaped and put up on YouTube. But we'll bring you a special edition of the Secret Success podcast live from the UK. So we'll see y'all, man. We love you. And we'll see you next week.
I want you to focus on here right now. Don't you worry about when you get home. You concentrate on this opportunity. You don't worry about tomorrow. You concentrate on this opportunity with all your might.